there's a lot of people complaining about the new BRZ they got announced, the 2020 BRZ. Well, I understand, aesthetics. Yeah, it's not everyone's style. Subaru's been taking a really extreme change in their aesthetics. If the renders of the 2022 STI are anything to go off of, a lot of people are saying they do not like it. And I mean, it's all subjective taste, but I think the 2022 BRZ it looks cute, right? It's got a pretty cute front end. The rear end, not too bad. Some people said it looks like a hybrid of multiple different cars. I'm like, yeah, it makes it unique. It's got its own little style, it's its own little flair. The interior, it's got a few updates, but it's mostly the same. I like the interior because you got the old fashioned red LEDs. You don't really see that too much, and they pulled it off well. They really did. And you got little flips, kind of like you're in a cockpit. It feels nice. Even though you might argue, yeah, it looks a little bit outdated, sure, but they make it work, right? Now, the really controversial part, the engine. So they're going to upgrade to a 2.4 liter FA24 engine. It'll give it about 23 extra horsepower. I believe that's with the manual. And on a car that light, you're going to notice 23 horsepower, right? So I don't understand why everyone's expecting a turbocharger. Maybe they release a turbocharged version because the community is up in fucking arms. I guess they're tired of installing their own turbos, so they're just like, do it from factory. Apparently they're willing to pay the extra money, so I think what Subaru should probably do is have a base model that's naturally aspirated and then have a turbocharged. But the issue with that is they're really worried that if they turbocharge it, it'll take away from their STI and WRX lineup, which is probably one of the cars that they get the most traction with, right? A lot of people like the STI and the WRX, and they want to really push those sales. And as for Toyota, we don't have anything to worry about the 86 yet, but so far it seems like it'll probably just be rebranded WRX, or not WRX, BRZ as always. And I still don't understand why people want the BRZ turbocharged, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not a car built for speed. It's a car built for handling, for cornering. It's not meant to be a race car or drag car. It's just meant to be a fun little car you can drive in the mountains. I just don't understand what everyone's complaining about. Doesn't make any sense to me personally. I think it'll be a nice car. It'll be a fun car. Aesthetics, yeah, that's pretty much the only issue. If you want to turbocharge it, if you want to supercharge it, the aftermarket is insane for Subarus. Or, you could just buy an old one, turbo or super that, and go on about your day. But Subaru's doing what Subaru does. I don't see them turbocharging. Like I said, they'll pull away from their WRX and STI, and they just don't want that, Everything else, I think the aesthetics, this is just personal opinion. The front, I like it. The back, I guess it could do with different taillights, but if you've worked on a Subaru before, you already know how to change the taillights and everything, so even then, there's tons of videos. It's not that hard to change them out, grab some different ones. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm sure if you can put on the dyno or something, you can squeeze a little bit more out of it. And then you can put a turbo or supercharger if you want to. That might require more ventilation, so you're probably going to do some mods on your hood and stuff to get vents, but for the most part, you'll be fine. I mean, it's all subjective, really. If you want the 2020 model or later, then buy used once the 2022 releases, right? Because the price will go down, as the used market always does. Or who knows, maybe Subaru really fucked up this year, and then next thing we know, the old models are more expensive because everyone's like, hey, we know you want this one and not that one, right? But I just don't get all it needs more power. It needs more power. Oh, you gave us more power? Well, it needs more power, right? You have to understand, yeah, there are people who turbo it, and then it goes up to 300 horsepower. Cool, it's fun, I get it. But you're getting a pretty decent amount from a naturally aspirated engine, right? You're asking a little much from Subaru here. I'm going to keep saying it does not make sense why people are complaining. The aftermarket, there's turbo kits out there. There's supercharger kits. If you know what you're doing, or maybe you know a friend who knows what they're doing, or you have a Subaru workshop somewhere, right? People who know how to install that stuff on Subarus, then take it to them. But there's options out there, and I think Subaru understands that, which is one of the reasons they're not doing it, is because they know the community is going to do it anyway, right? A friend of mine, where she lives, she said it pretty much half the BRZs are turbocharged because they just put a turbocharger in it anyway. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. So, 2020 BRZ or 2022 BRZ, I might buy it. I might buy used 2020 and just clean it up a bit. I'm probably going to lean that way.